All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome to Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli. Glad you could all join me here today live on Coach Eli 2. Coach Eli 2 Uncensored Live Streams. It is a beautiful day here today where I live in Redwood City, California, and I've got a great topic here today. I'm going to be doing this one solo. My lady is busy at the moment, but it's probably a better thing I'm doing this one solo because I think my lady would be interrupting me quite frequently throughout this show, which would be okay. I'm sure she will share her feedback regarding this topic at some point down the road. But I have a great show here regarding women, career women that are more career focused instead of family focused. And they're choosing their careers over having families. They're prioritizing their careers over relationships and marriages. And I'm going to dissect this here today. I have 3 great blogs to go through, and I'm going to get this done in 2 hours or less, so you're not going to want to miss it. But before we get to all that, let me first of all make sure that the YouTube notification is going or has gone out, and it has. Let me make sure this sounds okay. I'm going to just mute here for a second. Okay, it appears to be sounding and looking normal. I had to double check that because I had some tweaks that I did right before we went live, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't affecting my open broadcast software. I use OBS to do these shows. Let me also check out the back end of YouTube and make sure that everything is rolling smoothly. And it absolutely is. So we're just going to get right to it today because we have so much to go over. The topic of this show is women are getting married to their career instead of a man. One more time. Women are getting married to their career instead of a man. Before I switch on over to the first of 3 blogs I'm going to be dissecting today, I just want to mention that I have had personal experience in dealing with women like this over the past, 7 to 10 years. That's when it's kind of started to, become more of an impact. I mean, it was happening before that time because women have been liberated for about 55 years now, and they've been working for about 55 years and have had equal rights, et cetera, yada, 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 for about 55 years. But it's become much more apparent in the last 10 years. And I think that is primarily due to smartphones and dating apps and being overwhelmed with dating apps, being overwhelmed with work and trying to figure out, okay, how do I get my career going? How do I, make enough money to buy my own home and my own cars and do all this? And then, how do I balance that in with finding a man, which is crazy nowadays, right? Through these dating apps and having all these options. And I honestly, personally feel women have gotten really confused. Because part of a woman's natural biological essence is to be the nurturer, be the caretaker, have kids, raise a family. And a lot of women nowadays are putting that off to the side or completely getting rid of that to focus on a career, which is more masculine energy than feminine energy. Not taking anything away from women, but that's just exactly what's happening. And before I met my lady, 10 months ago, and I was on these dating apps, I saw the same thing happening. Women were just talking about their jobs more than talking about what they enjoy doing for fun. When I was talking with women through these apps and by phone, it would always shift back to their work or some major cause that they believed in. And quite frankly, I don't care about what any woman does for a living or any cause they care for until I know they care about me, right? I'm not saying I don't care about them in general. I'm just saying, why would I care about that aspect of your life, what you do for a living and what your what causes you believe in, unless I know that you're attracted to me and we're going to start dating, being intimate, and doing things that couples do, right? And so when I would encounter women like that, I would just completely eliminate them. If I was on the phone with them, I would end the conversation and just say it's not going to work out. So That's what I've personally experienced. But let's dive right into this and get to the first of 3 blogs here. We're going to switch on over to the browser source here. And this first blog is from the website evmagazine.com, and the title is Women Are Getting Married to Their Career Instead of a Man. One more time. Women are getting married to their career instead of a man. This was written by Julie Mastrin, November 3rd, 2021. This is very, very recent. And it says 8-minute read. Okay, well, me dissecting it will probably make it 20 minutes or so, or 25 minutes. So let's get right to it. The U.S. has been hitting some bleak milestones lately. Our country is experiencing below replacement fertility, and the marriage rate is at a historic low. Driving these trends is the fact that many women are now getting married to their career instead of a man. Yeah, and why are they doing that? Because they're being raised and told to go to college, get a degree, and then focus on their career, and you can worry about having a family later on down the road. But what happens, like I mentioned many times in the past, these women get their degree, they get a job, and then they try to get promoted and get settled in their careers, and then they're in their early 30s, 30, 31, 32, and at that point, that's when their biological clock starts ticking. And they have a lot of fun during college. They get all the hot guys and this and that. But what happens when they hit their 30s? Those hot guys are now going for the women in their 20s, right? And so now these women that want to settle down with these hot guys can't get the hot guys because the hot guys are still hanging around with younger women. Instead of trying to lock these guys down in their 20s, these women wait until their 30s. And by that point, you know, in many cases, it's become too late. I'm not saying that there aren't any women that you know, have success finding the right guy in their 30s, but it's much harder if you wait until your 30s. There is such a thing called sexual market value, and because women have a biological clock, their SMV, or sexual market value, starts to go down drastically in their 30s. This is with no disrespect. These are just the biological facts if you want to have a family, right? So let's continue here. I will be checking in on the chat every so often. Let's see here. Instead of spending our 20s trying to establish families and a home life that will fulfill us for decades to come, many young women are completely devoted to their careers. Often we put in such long hours that we don't have time to even date at all. Well, women are burnt out after a hard day at work. And then they check their dating apps and they have 100 connections. And how do they filter through those 100 connections after they're exhausted? Okay. Let's say a woman drives to work, and, you know, typically it takes a half an hour, but most days there's a half an hour of traffic. So you have a 1 hour drive to work, 8 hours at work, 1 hour on the drive back. That's 10 hours, right? And then you're tired. You got to come home, get settled in, cook dinner or get dinner. And then, you know, you start to focus on your dating life. And then you have hundreds of guys on these dating apps that are trying to connect with you. It gets overwhelming. She's already tired from work. Her patience is far less. So these women, what happens when they get on these dating apps to try to meet guys, they come off in a very rough and masculine way. And guys like me, when I would encounter them in the past, would just say, hey, next, I'm going to talk with somebody that's a little more sweet and down to earth. And that's a better balance on their work and personal life than that particular one I was talking with, right? But many women are struggling with this. It is natural to want to develop our professional accomplishments and be able to support ourselves financially. Work brings a level of intellectual challenge to our lives that can be deeply satisfying. And in reality, most women will find themselves needing to work to financially support themselves and their families. Well, women wanted to be liberated. That was their choice. Women fought for equal rights. Before women got equal rights, they were taken care of by a man who was the breadwinner, the provider, the leader, right? But now women wanted to rise up and do the things that once were only known as things that men would do. So now women are realizing, hey, what's going on here? Okay, now we got to provide for ourselves. and it takes up so much time and energy. Wow, we got to cut something out. And what's the first thing they cut out? Men, which is something that women have always wanted in their lives. They've always wanted a relationship and the family life and all that. But because their careers are overwhelming them so much and it's taking so much out of them, they will cut out the relationships. That's what happens. Let's see here. This thing keeps coming down. Okay. Let's see. Instead of seeing home and family life as the end goal and work as the thing that supports that ultimate end, we have flipped everything around. Our culture now positions professional success as the highest good and family life as something you maybe get around to. But does that really make both men and women happy? I think not. Marriage and family are seen as the addendum to our lives, not its primary purpose and mission. Well, that was the point of life since, God, who I believe created life, started life, right? That the purpose of life has been to get married, have a family, procreate, and live happily ever after. But nowadays, because women are in the workforce, which is fine, it has completely shifted things the opposite way. Marriage and family is secondary or third, and careers have become the number one priority, not just for men, which they've always been the number one priority for men, for women too. And that makes it very difficult to have a relationship, let alone get married and, have a happy and healthy family, right? Let's see. And it is definitely not something we're encouraged to do until we're well into our 30s or 40s if you're a man. In our culture, career comes first, family second. Yeah. Well, a man waiting, not really a problem because our sperm is viable until the day we die. For a woman, she has a biological clock. If she wants to have kids, once she hits 30, that clock starts ticking fast. Now, women having kids at 30 is still fine. Even up to 35, you're still very fertile or fairly fertile. But after 35, your fertility starts to drop as a woman rapidly. And after 40, even more rapidly. And the chances of conceiving a healthy child is far less. So that's where the problem lies. It's the woman's biological clock. Right? And women are not taking that into consideration until it's too late. Then they're rushing to beat the clock and, it's just throwing guys off. Basically, guys are not going to settle with a woman that wants to rush into something like that. They may just, have some sex with her, have some fun, which is what happens to these women. But that's why they have difficulty in, locking guys down after 30. Give me a second here. Man, these allergies, crazy. In reality, this hyper focuses on our careers as a singular path to satisfaction is a recipe for unhappiness. So how did we get here? Let's read more. I have nothing more to add to that. That was perfectly stated there. Perfectly stated. Let's see here. Career success is pushed as the only goal worth working toward. Growing up, young women are told we're oppressed and held back by society due to our gender. Well, that's why women fought for equal rights and got them. No problem with that. The problem is women are not able to balance their work and their personal life. Not all of them, most of them, right? From what I've seen, right? And what is being stated here. So that's why it's been harder for me to find good women because I look for women that are well balanced and are going to have enough time to go on dates with me and go hiking and go to dinners and weekend getaways and make beautiful loving, right? A lot of these women, barely have time to hang out with you for a couple hours each week, right? Because of their work. Okay. We're told the hardest thing we'll ever do is have a successful career because the world is supposedly against us. Well, that's the radical feminist saying that. Okay. That is not true. Women have equal rights nowadays and equal opportunities. And if a woman is qualified for a job in the same ways a man would be qualified, she'll get the job for the man and get paid exactly the same as the man would, right? Okay. But we are also biologically different, right? And I'm not saying that women aren't strong, but men and women were built biologically differently. And there are some things, in my opinion, that men are better at than women, and there are some things that women are better at than men. We have to take our biological differences into consideration, okay? The true mark of feminine virtue, therefore, is to prove ourselves professionally. If we can beat the system and become professionally successful, we'll prove we're just as worthy as men. See, that's the problem. Women are still trying to prove they're better than men, and most decent men like me are saying, hey, we don't need you to try to prove you're better than us. Just, be fair and equal with us. You want equality. You got equality. Don't try to make it appear like you have to be better than us to prove that you're just as worthy. Okay. Just do your thing in the same ways that men have always been doing our thing, and it's all good, right? But that's not the way it works. And that's not what society pushes. Okay. Or some female groups push onto women. There are a lot of groups out there, a lot of feminist type of groups and feminine empowerment groups that empower women in a way to where it misguides and misleads women on how they should handle things. And they never talk about work and personal life balance. They talk about career-focused women. And that's what, confuses these women and indoctrinates them into this type of culture, okay? We'll stick it to this outdated sexist system and show what women are really capable of. The whole idea is that if we really want to prove our worth as women, we must focus intently on our careers. Well, that repels men. See, what women are not realizing is while you're doing this and focusing on your career, trying to prove you're just as good as men or better than men, you're basically repelling men to want to have a relationship with you romantically. Right? And there's not a woman on the planet, even if they're more career focused, that doesn't want to have a good man in their lives. They get lonely. Trust me, they do. The end result of this narrative is a generation of women who have wound up married to their careers instead of a man. We were told the only way to prove ourselves is in the workforce, something we would never achieve if we stuck to focusing on marriage and children. How's that working out for you ladies? No disrespect, right? How is focusing more on your career and being married to your career working for you rather than being with a man? Back in the days of traditionalism, it worked great. Men went to work. They busted their butt. They were the provider. They were the rock. They were the leader. And women were the caretakers, took care of the home, that took care of the kids. And then the husband would come home from work, and then it'd be quiet time with the family and the wife, and everything was all hunky-dory. It used to work just great. But again, women wanted to be liberated, which is fine. And now look what it's causing. And I'm telling you, even though women might be doing well in their careers, they are not happy that they can't balance in their personal life, which is what they were biologically designed for. Women were biologically designed to procreate, get pregnant, have kids, be a mother, be nurturing. But now we have artificially changed that to lead women to believe that their main purpose is to work, which, listen, it's okay if women want to work, no problem, but that's not biologically what women were designed for as their main purpose. That's just the truth of the matter with no disrespect intended, okay? The whole idea is that if we really want to prove our worth as women, we must focus intently on our careers. That was a quote taken from the previous section there. Okay. Let's see here. American culture prizes and prioritizes women's involvement in the workforce first and foremost. Our culture now largely rejects the idea that being a wife and mother is good and fulfilling in and of itself. Again, that is what women were naturally and biologically designed for, to be a mother and be nurturing and being a wife, and that's what fulfilled women. It still fulfills women to this day. They are just being clouded by what society thinks they should be doing. Nothing wrong with women working, but they got to get a grip and balance their life. And women if they want to get married and have a family, they've got to start looking for it at the latest in their mid-20s, or they're going to struggle with it. And it's going to affect every other aspect of their life, including work. Except that this narrative doesn't work with reality. Researchers Betsy Stevenson and Justin Wolfers broached the sensitive topic in their analysis, the paradox of declining female happiness. They found that although by objective metrics, women's life circumstances have improved significantly over the past few decades, their happiness has declined, both in general and relative to men's. Well, that's because, what's happening with men? Men are hanging out with these women, we're hooking up with them, and we're banging, and we're having fun. Right. And there are a lot of short-term relationships. Right. And so men are being fulfilled, and see, men at a natural biological level, men are much better at being alone than women are. Regardless of what any woman says, career woman or not, women do not like being alone. Ask my lady that the next time she does a show with me. She does not like being alone, but she also, wants to have a good career and have that aspect. But at the same time, she does not like being alone. She wants to be with a man. The women that don't admit that are only lying to themselves, and they're fooling themselves. All right, let's continue here. Depressingly, the profile of the unhappiest person in America matches what society has sold us as empowering. Female, unmarried, 42 years old, household income under $100,000, professional, doctor, lawyer, etc. It is obvious that the career above all else pathway isn't resulting in more happiness for women, even if we are in more positions of power or more financially independent. And why is that, in my opinion? It is because women have always looked up to a man for their strength and to balance out a woman's emotions. An emotionally strong man, which men should be emotionally strong at a natural biological level, will balance out a woman's emotions that are more so all over the place all day, every day at a normal and biological level, right? And, women feel a lot safer when they're with a man. When they're sleeping with that man every night, they feel a lot safer, okay? They're a lot happier. Women miss the company of a man. Women do not like being alone. And again, any woman that says otherwise and says, I'm happy with my career, I don't need a man for anything, that is clearly a projection. And you know my thoughts about projections. When people are unhappy, they tend to state the obvious, like, I don't need a man, I'm happy with my career, I got everything I need. Well, if you're happy in your career and you don't need a man, why do you need to state it? Why not just live it, right? People that project things are just trying to mask the truth. That's the bottom line. It is obvious that the career above all else pathway, okay, sorry, I already read that. Our culture positions marriage and family life as secondary. Another reason women marry their careers instead of their family is that our culture positions marriage and family as low status endeavors. Yeah, that's because women have been empowered through these empowerment groups to go to college and get a degree and focus on their careers more than men, more than family, right? And you can focus on your family later. But again, what happens? Women, waste their 20s or spend their time in their 20s going to college, getting into their career, getting settled in their career, and then they try to fit in a man in their early 30s. And at that point, the guys that they want are now hooking up and hanging out with women in their 20s. That's I don't know how many times I've said that over the last 5 years that I've been doing this, and how many other channels, how many other, male space type of channels have mentioned that as well. We're not trying to attack women. We're not trying to stop women from getting ahead and having equal rights and working and having careers. But if you want the family, you need to balance it out, and you need to start focusing on it before your 30s, not after your 30s, right? In the past, we regarded motherhood and fatherhood as reserved roles. Yeah, they were called traditional gender roles. Those no longer exist, technically, that is. Being a parent was seen as a good and noble thing to do. It still is, but nowadays, because of what I've been talking about, here today, it doesn't seem to be, right? Today, smart young women are fed the false narrative that only unambitious women get married and have families at a young age. That the thing that will really prove our smarts and our value is to have a successful career. I'm gonna make this very clear with no disrespect to women once again. Men don't really give a shit about your career unless you start dating them and you fall in love with them and you respect them and you're a good woman, right? Until we know that you're devoted to us, you love us, and you're faithful and loyal and committed to us, we don't care about your career. It's not that we don't care about you having equal rights. You have equal rights, no problem. But we don't care about anything to do with you, including your career, unless we're together in a happy, loyal, and faithful relationship. That is the truth of the matter there. So yeah, this makes sense. Smart women are fed the false narrative that only unambitious women get married and have families at a young age. There are a lot of men out there that are willing to, marry a woman that doesn't work, that would be a good, mother to the kids and be a good wife and take care of the house while the man works. There are men that would do that. But even when that happens, what happens nowadays because of the internet and all these other options? Women get bored and lonely during the day, and then they cheat, right? So it creates other issues that we're not going to get into here today, but I think you get the point. Let's see here. A quote from above again. Women are fed the lie that only unambitious women get married and have families young. That is the biggest crock of doo-doo I've ever heard. Let's just put it that way. There's a toxic idea that it would be beneath us to get married before we've had a career and that only dumb girls do this. That is not true. Actually, the smart ones, will do this. Being married or a mother, especially in your 20s, is positioned as something done by people who lack a sense of adventure or who failed by never getting out and experiencing the world. Marriage is positioned as a form of slavery, the end of our freedom and opportunity. This is a bunch of radical feminists that are actually saying this. Give me a second here. I got to check something real quick. Just a second. Never mind that marriage and family life are totally new experiences in and of themselves, ones that test us in important ways and require us to grow in selflessness and self-knowledge. Never mind that neither marriage nor motherhood precludes a woman from working, from traveling, from having adventures, or from embracing opportunities she finds meaningful. Here's the thing. No man is trying to take anything away from women. Okay? And no man that's a good man is trying to lock down a woman into marriage to be a slave. It's about being equal partners, right? It's about, loving each other, procreating, having the family together because you love each other and respect each other equally. Okay? It's not about slavery. These women that are saying things like this have been indoctrinated this type of culture by some very radicalized female groups, female empowerment groups. And a lot of these female groups, they charge a lot of money for women to attend in-person events or online events. And and no disrespect, these women running these events sell these women a bunch of hogwash, because if they give women the right answers that fix them, right, and get them on the right path, then they will no longer pay the monthly fees to be a part of that group, right? So, this is something I've seen happen. I saw this happening 10 to 15 years ago when I was networking in person. And because I was an organizer running a co-ed business networking organization, okay, I also got in touch with a lot of women's only groups that actually invited me to their events because I was a very mature guy. But when I would get to these events and I would watch what would happen with the speakers, the organizer, and the speakers themselves, it was all about indoctrinating women into their culture, making money off these women, leading these women to believe that they should focus more on their careers and wait until later to have the family. Just the most ridiculous stuff I've ever heard. And I kept my mouth shut because you know what happens when you don't keep your mouth shut as a man in front of a group, or when you're part of an event with 100 women and you're like one of 3 men there that fortunately got an invite. It just wouldn't work out right. But I saw exactly what was happening. Let me see. Give me a second here. We're tempted to pursue the predictable dream rather than the difficult one. Many women may not realize it, but they focus on pursuing their careers rather than a relationship because the pathway is more predictable. Well, of course, it's more predictable when you're focusing on a job because all you have to do is get your degree or designation or qualify for the job. You get the job and then you just have to work the job, right? With a relationship, there's compatibility, there has to be attraction, mental stimulation, emotional bonding, spirituality, and like I said, attraction, which is partially physical attraction. So it's a lot easier for women to accomplish something in the workforce than with a man. And it almost makes it sound like, women are being told that, men are so difficult nowadays. Go and make something out of yourself. Focus on you. And if, down the road, it's meant for you to find a guy or you run into a good guy, it'll just happen, right? Right? That's what happens. That is what happens, guys and gals. Let's see. We can't control other people after all. Love can be scary and uncertain. Sure, everything is uncertain, even jobs. We feel we have more control in the professional realm. I was just saying that, where we can choose what type of work we do, where we do it, and how we accomplish it. You know that if you send out enough good resumes and fill out enough applications, you'll eventually find a job. It is not surprising that people seek out the certainty of professional goals rather than the vulnerability of trying to find love. Yeah, but what makes women the happiest? When they're in a nice, committed, faithful, loving relationship with a man that they are attracted to, trust, and respect. That's the bottom line right there. It doesn't matter what anyone says. That's just the honest to God truth, okay? Yet when we pursue relationships, we often find they're our biggest teachers and the most enriching part of our lives. Going boldly into relationships and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable within them is how we grow and learn and experience love. If you've ever come across women that have a great career, and let's say as a guy, you go on a date with them, right? And they seem, anxious, or they don't talk a lot, or they are lacking social skills. It is because they've been more career focused than family focused or dating focused, right? And they lack the experience. Like I can't tell you the countless amount of women that I met in between relationships in my 40s with women in their 30s that were in this same position. And, I couldn't relate to them in any way, shape, or form. So they never got a second date. That's exactly what happens when you cut out your social life, which includes dating, and you're married to your job, then you have no life. And quite frankly, that's not healthy in my opinion. And it should be a fact, but I'll just make it my opinion. Okay. Instead of shying away from the challenge, we should strive to become women who are stable and healthy in relationships with others. I could not have said it any better myself. And to identify the qualities that make a man marriageable. Right. Learn to better properly vet men. Just like I teach men and also women, but more so men need the help with this. I teach men to learn how to properly vet women so they don't waste their time. Women should do the same thing on the flip side. And to identify the qualities that make a man marriageable and go out and find him even when it's hard, even when you're tired after a hard day's work. It's going to be worth it because when you find that guy, it's going to make you feel so much more amazing and better about yourself. Everything in your life will get better, including your job and your personal life. When you have someone in your life that's your other half, like I have with my lady, okay, it makes all aspects of life better. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. My business here, ever since I've been with my lady, and especially over the last 3 months or so that she's been doing shows with me and content with me, I am like 10 times more excited about my business than I was before that. I'm telling you, ladies, give men a chance and don't wait until your 30s. And if you're in your 30s, just keep trying. Don't give up, because the older you get, the harder it's going to get. I'm telling you. And you can't get mad at us men for wanting to, date younger, more fertile women that are still able to have kids than a woman that's less fertile, right? You can't blame us for that, okay? And you also can't blame biology, because you ladies all know and you all knew that you had a biological clock, okay? By the time you hit your teens, you got your period, your parents told you about that, you learned. You have a biological clock, yet you still waited, right? Let's see. Let me check out the chat here real quick. All right, we're all good. The promise of career as the ultimate source of fulfillment turns out to be a lie. The workforce will just never fill that space in our hearts that's meant for communion with other people. We're designed to love and care for one another. Ladies, listen again to this. We're designed to love and care for one another. It's bottom line right there. And when we try to replace that with a work life, it just doesn't measure up. One more time, we're designed to love and care for one another. And when we try to replace that with a work life, it just doesn't measure up. We end up lonely. How many of you ladies out there that are career women are lonely? And then you come out and say, oh, I'm not lonely. I have lots of friends and I have a great job and I hang out with my friends on the weekends. Yeah, and your friends bring their men, their husbands, or their boyfriends, and you're by yourself. And you're saying you're not lonely. That's bullshit. You're projecting. That's a projection. We end up lonely, frustrated, and unfulfilled. I have nothing more to add to that. I mean, that just speaks for itself. This next one, this is the real kicker here. Give me a second. We're told not to depend on a man. One more time, this is the most common issue here. We're told not to depend on a man, which was a biological thing before women were liberated. They were dependent on a man for survival. That's the way God made men and women to be. But nowadays, because women are liberated, they're told, hey, ladies, you no longer have to be dependent on a man. You don't need a man for anything, ladies. You can go do it all on your own, right? And these little girls at a young age are hearing this. And they're being raised in this way that's completely against their natural, biological, feminine essence. And they're being raised in more masculine essence type of ways than feminine, which makes them less attractive or not attractive at all to good masculine men like myself. Let's read what the blog author wrote about we're told not to depend on a man. The common adage, never depend on a man, is an oft-repeated but toxic idea that leads women to marry careers instead of a man. It sounds nice and liberating, but it sets us up for a life where it is actually harder for us to form a family. There are so many women on dating apps nowadays. I used to see this before I met my woman. Women in their 30s and their 40s, don't have children, don't want children, right? Right? And when I would come across women like that didn't want to have children, if they were under 40 or especially under 35 and they didn't want children, that automatically told me that they were more focused on their work than having a family. Because any woman that's more family focused than career focused is going to want to have a family, because that's what women were naturally and biologically designed to be. Mothers, caretakers, right? But nowadays, women are turning into men. That's part of the problem. And they're being indoctrinated to be more masculine than feminine. That's what happens. Yes, women do need a way to make money so we don't attach ourselves to the very first man who offers to provide for us. Well, that's how it used to be before you were liberated. That's the way it was for how long? Almost 2,000 years? And now we change it, and it's become a whole world of shit now for men and women trying to figure this out, right? We need to be able to support ourselves while we grow and look for a man who would make a good spouse. Nothing wrong with a woman working and her man working and balancing their work and personal life schedules out, combining resources and money and loving and respecting each other. Nothing wrong with that. And it's all a choice in the man's and woman's head, right? Even career working women nowadays can choose to also have a family and work at the same time, right? And companies, have maternity leave and all that. The law protects women. The law protects women from being able to have kids, or to be able to have kids, which is what I'm trying to say. And they'll pay you for that. You'll get time off to have a family, and then you go back to work, right? The only issue is you're going to have grandparents or nannies or babysitters take care of your kids, which, it can affect the kids, and it does, but women have more options than they think they have. Let's see here. But that doesn't mean we should totally demote marriage as a goal and replace it entirely with work. Yeah, the women that have replaced work or replaced marriage with work are the unhappiest women I've ever seen. Hats off, hands down. Relying on a man gives him a sense of purpose and meaning while relieving our burdens. Yeah. That's always been a man's purpose, to be the provider. And nowadays that women are working, it's taken away the man's biggest purpose for a woman, being the provider. Women have always looked up to men for their strength, being the provider, right? Being emotionally strong, physically strong to protect a woman from danger, right? To balance out the woman's emotions with our stronger emotions, to be the woman's rock. But nowadays, women want to be that rock, right? They want to be that rock. And even if women that are career women, try to date men like me and they want to be the rock, in essence, it turns guys like me off because we're the rock. And, I would never want to be with a woman that exudes more masculine energy than feminine energy, because I'm a masculine man, right? The sexual polarity is off, and it just doesn't work. What attracts a masculine man like me to a woman is her sweet, nurturing feminine side. When she behaves more masculine, it annoys me. And I don't care how hot she is. If she's behaving more masculine, I wouldn't even feel like I want to be intimate with a woman that's behaving, more masculine during the times that she's behaving more masculine. All right, give me a second here. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally. Hey, love. Hey, babe, how you doing? Everything rolling smoothly? Everything fixed with your phone and all that? Is it all good? Let me know. I'm going to be taking a break soon. We are at 44 minutes. Boo-doo-boo-boo. Give me a second here. And once we do find a good man, there's absolutely nothing wrong with depending on him. In fact, we'll likely want to when we have young kids. That's part of a woman's natural essence is to depend on her man. My woman is a modern woman, but she has old school values, right? But she's very strong and independent, right? Well, let me tell you something. Whenever she needs something that she knows she's not good at, she's not going to try to fight it and say she's good at it and make mistakes. She comes to me every time. My woman relies on me all the time. And I'm not going to lie, baby, it can get a bit overwhelming, but I love helping you because I love you, and that's what I do as a man. I want my woman to be able to rely on me. Relying on a man not only gives him a sense of purpose, ladies, listen to this one. Relying on a man not only gives him a sense of purpose and meaning, food for thought. A man having a purpose in a relationship with a woman is his woman, depending on him. That's what makes a man feel like a man. But it also removes from our shoulders the burden of having to do absolutely everything on our own. And women get overwhelmed very easily because they're so emotional. Women respond to everything emotionally first based on how they're feeling in the present moment. And then they may reason with logic. Because women are so emotional, they do need a man in many cases, if not most cases, to help them navigate through the aspects of life that women used to not have to deal with before they were liberated. I mean, you can ask my woman. That's how I help her. I respect her as a woman, but I also know what she's struggling with, and I help her with those things. Of course, she needs to be open to the help, and she has to come to me first, because I'm not going to push anything on her. But yeah, she allows me to help her in those things, and that's what makes me feel like a man. There's nothing wrong with relying on a man emotionally or financially at some points in our lives. At some points, well, it used to be the entire, relationship was dependent on a man being the provider for a woman, right? But nowadays, because women are liberated, I get it. You balance it out. You equally help each other out. Men are better at some things than women, and women are better at some things than men. You combine your forces together, and you help each other out, and you respect each other, and you love each other. And that makes it a well-balanced relationship. Ladies, that's what you're missing. Don't let your job, keep you away from having the most amazing aspect of your life fulfilled. That's the bottom line. Closing thoughts. Our single-minded cultural focus on career often drives women to unhappiness. It positions us towards being autonomized individuals clocking in and out instead of toward commitment and love, which is the building block for a family, a cohesive unit with love, care, and duty for one another at the center. When our primary duty is to our bosses, not to our loved ones, it only leads to unhappiness and unfulfillment. I could not have said it any better myself. NC is Queens in the house, says Eli with the pink hearts. Respectfully, NC is Queen says hi, respectfully, maturely, and professionally. And then there's Nightbot there telling you folks to subscribe to Coach Eli, Elias Melas, my main channel at youtube.com/Life Coach Eli. All right, let's go ahead and get back to full screen here. And I'm going to queue up some royalty-free YouTube music and step away for a break. And then I'm going to come back. There are two more blogs, but I may only be able to get through one of them, which will be fine. I can do the other one another time. or I'm going to try to blitz through both of them. It is 6:55 p.m. Eastern, 3:55 p.m. Pacific. I need to be done by 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. My lady's coming over, and she's going to be here around 6 o'clock or 6:30 at the latest. And who knows? We may have a show coming up with her sometime sooner than you think. So make sure you keep it locked here on Coach Eli 2 Uncensored Live Streams. Good afternoon, Eli, says Lewis. Good afternoon, Lewis. How you doing, brother? Welcome to the show. All right. Let's cue it up, baby. Cue it up. Cue it up. Let's cue it up. Got 3, and we got 4. Music is all queued up. I'm going to step away for a 7 or 8 minute or 9 minute break, something like that. And when we return, we're going to have more regarding this amazing topic. Women are getting married to their career instead of a man. So stick around. Round. We'll be right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. What happened to my chat? Why is my chat off? That's weird. Give me a second here. There we go. There we go. All right. We are back. You know, when you're running these shows by yourself and you have technical difficulties on the fly, you got to learn how to fix them quick, and I have. All right, let's get right back to it. Let's get right back to it because we have a lot more show left to go. All right. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, live here on YouTube, live on Coach Eli 2, Coach Eli 2, uncensored live streams, also known as the Deuce, right? The future home of most, if not all, of my live streams. This channel is getting closer and closer to being monetized each and every day. And once that happens, my Walking with Purpose live streams that are currently happening and have been happening for over 300 episodes on my main channel, Coach Eli, Elias Melas, those will move over here. And then my main channel will focus primarily or entirely on the highest quality pre-recorded content in the highest quality 4K at 60 frames per second. We're also going to be focusing more on some YouTube shorts, and we're also going to be creating some exclusive members-only content. So you're going to want to subscribe to my other channel as well, Coach Eli, Elias Melas. Nightbot's been sharing the link in the chat every 7 minutes, or just go to youtube.com/Life Coach Eli. Now, another thing that I want to mention here, the live streams on my main channel that has been monetized for 2.5 years now have gone to members only chat. That means unless you're a moderator, moderators can chat for free. Unless you're a moderator, you will need to purchase at least the $2.99 per month membership package to be able to chat during my live streams. The same thing's going to happen here on Coach Eli 2. Once we get monetized within the next few weeks or so, when it happens, these chats are going to go to members-only chats. The streams will still be publicly available, but in order to chat, you're going to have to purchase at the very least a $2.99 membership package. And my lady and I decided to do that because we wanted to, clean up the chat a little bit and basically see who truly values the content. And people that are going to pay a little bit of money, $3, what's $3? It's nothing. Are going to more so value the content. It'll keep the chat clean, and we're going to be able to focus more on truly helping people in the ways that my lady and I love to help people, rather than dealing with stupid, nonsense that some people create, through some public chats. So that is that. Also, in the meantime, and I see you there, Zara, and the other people will get the chat in just a second. In the meantime, if you would like to make a donation to sponsor this channel or support this channel here until it gets monetized, or even afterwards, you can still, use these options once the super chat's enabled here. You can do so in one of two ways, through PayPal or Cash App. Nightbot's been sharing my PayPal and Cash App links every 7 minutes in the chat. On PayPal, you can go to paypal.me /Coach Eli, and on Cash App, you can go to $The Real Coach Eli. And as always, donations are greatly appreciated, but they are not required. Let me just make sure this is rolling smoothly here. Give me a second, folks. I just want to make sure that the stream is rolling properly. So, in the meantime, and I see you there, Zara, and the other people. Okay. Yeah, we're rolling good. Some little glitchy thingy happened when I came back from the break, so I just wanted to make sure we're still rolling in normal ways. All right, let me check out the chat here real quick before we get to the next blog here. Lewis Fuller is here again. Welcome, Lewis. Welcome to my lady, respectfully, maturely, and professionally. Lewis says, Eli, I sent you a message on Facebook Messenger privately, and I responded to you, Lewis, and I'm sure you got my response, and I'm sure you are laughing along with me hysterically. We're not going to mention what was said in the private message, but let me just tell you, Lewis, it doesn't surprise me, and I bet it doesn't surprise you either, brother. But thank you for making me aware of that. Lewis says, I'm doing good. Zara says, hello, Eli and chat. Hope everyone is having a good day. Yes, we're having a great day. Thank you for that, Zara. HVACR North. Lewis, is that one of your buddies? Did you bring HVACR North? What does that mean, HVACR North? Welcome to the show. Lewis says, please don't forget to hit the like, the thumbs up. Thank you, Lewis. I'd appreciate that. 7 likes right now, 8 in the box. Thank you for being here, everybody. Let's see. I got you, Lewis says HVACR North. Welcome in, HVACR North. Thanks for the pleasant message. Lewis says HVACR North. Furthermore, he says that beach looks so nice. Too bad it wasn't a live feed. Yeah, I get my backgrounds from Canva. I have a license. I pay a monthly fee and have a license to use these images royalty free from Canva. And they're very beautiful. I have a green screen, so I typically change up my backgrounds every day. And they're in such high quality that it makes you wish that it was actually, a live feed of me out on the beach. Who knows? Maybe sometime down the road I will do that. Doing a stream from the beach would be amazing. Great idea there, HVACR North. And thank you again for being here. Zara says, amazing changes going on for you, Eli. Well, thank you, Zara. I appreciate that. And I think you've probably known about me for a while. And yeah, I'm really, really proud of my lady. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty proud of how things have been going lately. My lady and I have been staying very, very focused. And, we have a lot going on in our personal lives with our families, our friends in real life. And, we've got a lot more that we're working on to bring to you folks out here on YouTube and our coaching business. So I appreciate that, Zara. Thank you so much. NCS Queen says, great ideas, Eli. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, we are at 1 hour and 8 minutes, and it's we got to get rolling here because there's so much more to talk about. Let's get to the next blog here. I'm going to try to blitz right through this. Go back to the browser screen. This is from the blog site Women's Health Mag, Women's Health. And the topic is 5 women share how getting married hurt their careers. Wow. One more time. 5 women share how getting married hurt their careers. Talk about not having it all. This was written by Jen Glantz on June 1st, 2016. So this is about a year before I started my first real YouTube channel and started my coaching business, but still very, very relevant to this day. All right. When men marry, they receive cigars, slaps on the back, and golf outing invitations from their coworkers, maybe even a little padding to their annual bonuses. But it goes a little differently for working women who often take a career hit when they tie the knot. Well, why do women have to take a career hit when they tie the knot? They don't have to. If it's because women can get pregnant and have kids, they can take what's called maternity leave and still get paid and then come back afterwards, right? In fact, one 2013 study showed that among female academics, women who were married took an average of 7.8 years to get promoted, while single women climbed the ladder within just 6.7 years on average. Well, the women that are getting promoted faster are working lots of overtime. They're bringing work home with them, and they are overdoing it. And I'm not saying that men haven't done that or don't typically do that, but that what's happening is, women are spending all day, every day, nights and weekends, doing whatever it takes to get promoted at work. And that leaves no time for, dating, family life, or happiness. And, if you're married to your job at that level, you're going to burn out at some point. Yeah, you might get the promotion quicker, but then you're going to be burnt out once you get it. And you might fail in your promoted position because you burnt yourself out trying to get promoted. Related, how 10 different brides handled getting cold feet. Furthermore, well, that's another article. We're not going to read that. Furthermore, in a study by Harvard Business School, more than half of Gen X and baby boomer men expected their career would take priority over their partners. Why? Perhaps because 73% of men and 85% of women said that prioritizing family over work is the number one barrier to a woman's career. Well, that's why, a lot of men have come out here on YouTube and other social media platforms and have said, you have to choose career or family. And in all honesty, you don't even really have to choose. Okay, as a woman, you can work a part-time job. You can, learn to better balance your work and your personal life. Get a job that coincides with the schedule of your husband. Like my woman, part of what created her divorce was the fact that her and her husband were working opposite shifts, and they were making very good money. They were making 6 figures each, but they never got to spend time together. Very, very rarely. And so that's part of what ruined that marriage. I would not want to be with a woman that works opposite shifts as I do, and then I never see her. What would be the point of being with her, right? Here, 5 women reveal how marriage changed their careers for better and worse. Plus, here's how to get ahead of the pay gap instead of just getting mad about it. Well, if you want to go to this article later on, what I'll do is I'll end up sharing all 3 of these blog links in the description section once it goes to a replay. Number 1, I became second fiddle. I work in the events and promotion industry, and a big part of my job was entertaining potential clients and getting them to use our services or even hire us to promote their events. My boss used me as a hook to reel in new business because I was single and attractive. That's what happens. So sex sells, right? So their bosses, these guys hire hot women because they expect the woman to use her good looks and charm to close the deal, right? Or the deals, right? I was also really good at flirting. Okay, but then when you have a man, is your man going to appreciate that, or are you going to feel right about doing that, right? When I first entered a relationship and it became serious, I started passing off this job to my assistant because you felt uncomfortable and you felt like it was the wrong thing to do for your man, right? Or to your man, right? I didn't have an interest in going out to expensive dinners with middle-aged men. When I got married, I stopped doing this entirely. It just didn't feel right. Good for you. Good for you. It's the right thing to do. My boss would ask me to take off my wedding ring and lie and say I wasn't married. I didn't want to quit my job. I just wanted to quit this part of the job. Since I've been married almost a year, my role at the company has become less strategic and more focused on paperwork and less client facing. So basically, they found a position that works for you since you're a married woman now. And you don't feel comfortable doing the same things of flirting with men and using your good looks and charm to get the deals. You don't feel comfortable doing that anymore. To be honest, I'm miserable. I wish I could have the best of both worlds or a new job. Oh, okay. So now the truth comes out. Now you're miserable because you can't flirt with middle-aged men and take their money and make money doing it, which you probably got paid more for doing that, and have your man at the same time. You have to choose one or the other. Food for thought, right? Wow. Woo! Whoa, man. Wow. Let's see. Huh. Huh. Give me a second here, folks. All right. Number 2, I shifted my focus. When I was single, I was the definition of a workaholic. I would stay at the office until 8 p.m. and work Saturdays and sometimes Sunday. Working was my favorite thing to do because it kept me busy and meant I didn't feel so alone. When I found a guy I loved spending time with, I stopped devoting myself to my job. I'd rush out of work at 6 p.m. and not check email all weekend. It has definitely made me less productive, and it slowed down my chances of advancing to a higher role, since I know a lot of people who are vice presidents at this company work 70 to 80 hours per week. Well, I mean, if you're going to, why would you want to work a job that's making you work 70 to 80 hours per week, right? There are jobs out there nowadays where you can work 30 to 40 hours per week full time and still get promoted. These are the types of jobs where the leaders, which are primarily men doing this because other women wouldn't do this to you, are overworking you and trying to prevent you from having a personal life so they can use you as guinea pigs to make money, primarily because you're attractive and, you can use your looks to close deals, like was mentioned in number 1. That's my opinion there. I'm a lot happier this way. I thought work was the only way to be happy, but when you have someone great in your life, the last thing you want to be is stuck in an office. Ma'am, you have realized it. I'm going to give you a big round of applause. Big round of applause. Great way to turn it around. Now you need to help me help more women realize this. Number 3, they think I'm having a baby. When I got back from my wedding and honeymoon, my boss pulled me into his office and asked me how it all was. His next question was when I was going to get pregnant. That's none of his business. That's against the law. That's harassment right there, right? Right? That is a ridiculous thing for a boss to ask a woman. When are you going to get pregnant? So I know when to have your replacement ready, right? I was totally taken back. I don't blame you, ma'am. I would have actually done something about that. I would have probably reported that to Human Resources. That was very, very rude. I work in finance in New York City, and it is a very male-dominant industry. Right. And they're trying to treat you like a man, but you're a woman. And if you want to have kids, it's on you. It's none of his business when you're going to get pregnant or not. That's your business and your husband's or boyfriend's business. All right. He asked me to give him a heads up so he could figure out how to have someone take over my job. Well, that is against the law, ma'am. He cannot ask you when you plan on getting pregnant because you probably don't even know when you're going to get pregnant, ma'am. It happens sometimes. Even if you try, it takes a while sometimes, which is what I'm trying to say, right? Since I probably would have a kid and never come back to work. I cut him off mid-sentence and I told him I just got married and had no plans of getting pregnant. I also told him this was none of his business. Good for you. Another big round of applause. So another issue women are dealing with is very hostile men, very hostile CEOs that create hostile work environments and basically use and abuse women and try to control women in ways that are going to make the company most profitable. That was none of his business to ask when you're going to get pregnant. That he should actually lose his job for that. It's ridiculous. You see here real quick. Give me a second. Number 4, I didn't get a promotion. I'm not 100% positive, but I think I didn't get a promotion that I was up for at work because I was the only married one on my team. I work with a lot of young, straight out of college people, and they are mostly single. I got married at 23, and my boss always asks me if I need to leave early to go make dinner for my husband or be with him. My boss isn't married, and nobody I work with is, so they don't understand that being married doesn't change your work ethic. Well, that is true, especially if you don't have kids yet, right? And that's none of his business. And the problem is these are probably younger bosses that just don't understand that, that could be discrimination there. They can't do things like ask you questions like that. Okay. They got to treat you fairly and equally. They can't ask you, when are you planning to get pregnant? Or ask you if you need to leave early to go home and make dinner for your husband. I mean, that's treating you differently than the other employees, and I don't blame women for, feeling weird about this. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. But I don't know if this affected her from getting a promotion or not. Maybe so. Maybe so, because somebody that a boss that is looking to promote someone, such as this woman, would never say something like this. A boss would say something like this when they're unhappy at the fact that, the woman's married, and that means they're assuming there's going to be less flexibility with her at work. So then they're going to deny her a promotion because of that, because they feel if they promote her, she's not going to be as easily accessible if they need her, right? That is called discrimination, completely discrimination. And I wouldn't put up with that. You can actually report that, folks, and you should. Number 5, I had to quit my job. Before we get that, Zara says, where's Lady? I feel I need a co-conspirator before I comment on this topic. Well, she's not available right now, unfortunately. Sorry about that, Zara. I was planning to get married in December, and the February before the wedding, my boss asked me to reconsider my wedding date. I worked in retail, and that was a busy month for us. But it is also the month I always dreamed of getting married in. The choice was to delay my wedding or delay my career. She basically said if I decided to get married that month, I wouldn't get paid for any time I was going to take off or for the whole month because she needed to hire someone to replace me. Well, did you have vacation pay? Have you been with the company long enough? And if you had vacation pay, you should be able to take it. You should be able to take some PTO, personal time off. I didn't make a decision until that June when I finally told my boss I wasn't changing my wedding date. I quit my job, but it took me 4 months to find a new job, and the salary for that job was $10,000 less than what I was making before. But you're probably a lot happier, and there's probably a lot more flexibility. See, folks, good companies will work with you, whether you're married or not, whether you have kids or not. Some ladies are just working for certain bosses, primarily male bosses, sometimes female bosses. In this case, it was a woman boss, I believe. And these women bosses typically have more masculine energy, come off with more masculine energy than feminine energy. And they don't care about your personal life. No, all they care about is how available are you for the job, and can you marry yourself to the job. You do not want to, first and foremost, work for a company, whether you're married or not, that's going to treat you this way, let alone if you're in a marriage. It's going to completely ruin and affect your marriage. And that is that. All right. Let's see. Where are we at right now? We're at 1 hour and 23 minutes. We got through that pretty quickly. That's good. Let's get to the final blog here. Let's see, how long is this? I don't think it's too terribly long. This was pretty interesting because it involves YouTube. And you can barely see it on the screen. Oh, I've got to reset the chat here because for some reason, the chat's been resetting a lot lately. I don't know why. Maybe it's an OBS glitch. There we go. Zara says, flexibility allows for a great balance. That's true. I would never suggest any man or woman work for a company that isn't flexible, whether you're male or female. So that's pretty much what the main issue is here. All right, this is from the blog site, HuffPost.com. And the title is, this woman's viral argument for marriage as a career has the internet all riled up. One more time. This woman's viral argument for marriage as a career has the internet all riled up. Some even wondered if the woman in the TikTok was trolling. But in an interview with HuffPost, she assured us she wasn't. By Brittany Wong, written June 3rd, 2022. This was written last month. Very relevant. Let's get right to it. Okay. Last week, homemaker and YouTuber Ali Drummond went viral for proposing a career alternative that many viewers mistook for trolling. If you're a woman, get yourself a husband, not a job. Whoa. If you're a woman, get yourself a husband, not a job. Whew, man. I don't think most women nowadays would fare too well with that statement. But I understand what you're saying. You're living, pre-1950 era there. It all started earlier this month when Drummond's friend posted a TikTok titled, "How to Marry a High-Value Man and Become a Housewife." Go fucking figure. How to marry a high-value man and become a housewife. In the clip, Drummond waves her wedding ring while her friend asks her what she does for a living. Well, this woman may not be as high maintenance as she's coming off in this posting or on her videos, but what gets attention through videos? Drama, high maintenance women, all this type of stuff, right? It's kind of like, the Kardashians, right? Okay. So maybe she really isn't this way. Maybe she's amping it up for social media and, YouTube videos so she gets more traction. Because if not, it'd be too bland. People would get bored, right? "I love my husband," Drummond says dryly before explaining how she landed the awesome job. "I became a better human being. I became feminine and also shocking submissive. So before that, ma'am, you were exuding more masculine energy than feminine energy, and you were more dominant and submissive, and you realized that it repels the type of strong masculine man you wanted to attract in your life, right? Well, good for you on that aspect." So she puts out this, look at this. This is the video right here. I'm not going to play it, right? It's embedded there, I believe. And the title says, "How to Marry a High-Value Man and Become a Housewife." She's all cute and shit, right? Oh, you look so cute, right? So you're gonna come out and teach women. You look cute and innocent, but maybe you're not. You're gonna teach women how to look for a high-value, rich man, right? And high value is more than just money. It's good looks, it's social status, it's all of that stuff, right? And become a housewife, right? Until you get bored at home and you're scrolling through apps while your husband's always working to provide the high value lifestyle you wanted, and then you're banging some Chads and Tyrones. Yeah. Billions of videos and counting only on TikTok. 143,000 likes, 12.9K comments, 10.5K shares. Jesus Christ. Being a housewife, Drummond told her friend, and the over 1.7 million people who eventually watched the clip, is an actual job. 1.7 million views. Jesus Christ. I'm too honest, folks. I'm too honest to get a large amount of views. Anyway, let's continue. "You just can't get it in the public or private sector," she said. "You need a man to hire you for it. But that's okay, because if you think about it, you submit to your boss who makes you clean stupid shelves at your retail job, right?" Well, my woman was an assistant manager and she was doing, non-managerial work. She was taken advantage of by her male boss. "Wouldn't it be better if you were cleaning your own shelves at home and your boss wants to sleep with you in a good way?" Well, see, this woman is probably a really nice woman, but she's amping it up because if she doesn't, she won't get attention, right? Like, I look at her picture and I'm not trying to stereotype. She looks really innocent, and maybe she's not as innocent as she looks. But I think this woman is really, really amping this up to get attention because people love drama and they love out of the ordinary things, right? But is she being honest about it? Maybe kind of, sort of, but she's really stretching the truth. She's basically amping it up for traction on social media. As for tips on how to find an employer husband, the Kansas housewife suggests women actually work for the high-value men they want to pursue. You want a lawyer, right? So then you should be a paralegal. Or if you want a dentist, you should be a dental hygienist. Well, I mean, if you happen to be in the same industry in those, positions that go hand in hand, then so be it. But come on, how many people are actually going to have that? How many doctors are going to marry a nurse? How many dentists are going to marry a dental hygienist? How many lawyers are going to marry a paralegal? This is all just being amped up here. Finally, Drummond, who also considers herself a content creator, took issue with women who criticize other women who marry their bosses. Women will bully the woman who's a secretary who married the doctor, but who has the last laugh. She asked on camera her in her McMansion with her husband and her baby. Well, those women are marrying their bosses because it's easy money. And quite frankly, I hate to say it, most of those women are gold diggers. And most of those women are going to end up cheating on their husband. And most of those high-value men are going to have prenups and they're going to cheat on their wife. Like this is all a bunch of crap to me here. Unsurprisingly, the divisive video quickly made the rounds on other social media platforms. While some applauded Drummond for how unapologetic she was, others, especially those on Twitter, found the video to be uncomfortable and a little cringe. I think it's very cringy. I think she may be happy, being a housewife, and maybe she's in a good marriage with a good guy, but she, again, is amping it up to get attention on social media, which now is becoming her job. Because if she's doing this on YouTube and getting monetized playbacks, she's making money doing it, right? So she can be the housewife working for her husband and then also, talk about her marriage and all that on her YouTube channel and on TikTok and make money doing it. Wow. But yes, it's very, very cringy. Very cringy. Let me check out the chat here real quick. Whoa, to each his own. Everyone is different and living different experiences, says Zara. Zara furthermore says, hit the thumbs up as you're enjoying this live stream, folks. Thank you, Zara. Furthermore, Zara says, I can believe this 100%. I know women who are exactly this. Well, there are some women that want to live the traditional lifestyle. We call it TradCon style, traditional conservative, right? Doesn't mean you're actually conservative as your political party choice, but it's considered a traditional conservative type of marriage and relationship, right? Right. So there are women that actually do want this and will be loyal and faithful and be happy, but I think most of them would not be happy. And from what I've seen on social media, most of these situations end up with the woman cheating on the man cheating on the woman, and it was all just a big facade from the very beginning. But that's just what I've seen. Being a stay-at-home mom who still has to cook, clean, and perform domestic servitude will never be a come-up for women. One woman tweeted, a man turning you into the help is not an upgrade. That's true. I will agree with that. I have nothing more to add to that. Some even wondered if Drummond was trolling. She's not trolling. She's seeking attention because she's bored. She's a bored housewife. So now she's gone on the internet to cure her boredom, and she's spinning this in the way that's going to get her traction and make her money. But it's more so for the attention, right? Some even wonder, sorry, I already read that. But in an interview with HuffPost, she confirmed it was no troll at all. No, it's not trolling. It's amping it up for attention because she's bored. The message I try to get across to women is there's a third economic option outside of serving in the military or receiving an education. You can marry an established man, Drummond told us via email. Once you are married, his wealth is your wealth. If he succeeds, you succeed. Well, his wealth is your wealth automatically just because you marry him. I don't like the sound of that. You don't marry a man, because his wealth is going to become yours. You marry a man because you love him. Yes, you want to marry a man that has his shit together, but if you're marrying him just because he's wealthy and that wealth will one day become your wealth, that's gold digging right there. Drummond believes there are women who would genuinely enjoy homemaking as a profession, but haven't considered it because all they know how to do is work. Before Drummond met her husband in the military, she also worked in retail. She says she was in this group. Wow. So I guess they were both in the military. Oh, if this is like a military marriage, those fail many, many a times. Let's just continue. Eventually, I remember working at one of my retail jobs, cleaning shelves, and thinking this is menial busy work. I could be doing this at home. My fiance makes enough, she said, and that's exactly what I did because it makes me happy. My fiance makes enough, and that's exactly what I did because it makes me happy. Does it make him happy? I mean, are you really truly happy? Are you? Yeah, I mean, you haven't mentioned one time how great of a guy he is, the fun things you do together. All you've mentioned is his money. This sounds like gold digging all over the place to me, or all over to me. Making my husband breakfast is honestly more rewarding than any essay I've ever gotten an A on in undergraduate school, she said. As Drummond sees it, leaning into traditional gender roles could liberate employed women from the double, sometimes triple shift of unpaid work that awaits them at home every day. You're likely to do chores anyway if your husband is a hard worker, out earning you with longer hours. So what are you putting your family on hold for? That I can understand. If you want to have a family and raise a family and do all that, that's great. But right now, it appears they don't have any kids yet. And she's out all over social media getting attention, right? If she was truly happy with this, she wouldn't feel the need to post this on social media. She's posting this on social media and spinning it, in a way that's going to get traction and attention because she's bored and lonely while her husband is away, right? If it is capitalist America, I can assure you your boss would replace you tomorrow and your family would not, said Drummond, who married her husband in February, so choose wisely. That argument seems to have riled up Drummond's critics the most. How, they ask, is it anti-capitalistic and liberating to have to choose between a boss or a husband for financial security? She did it for attention. I agree with the people that are chastising this posting and, the video, the original video, which I have not seen and I'm not going to see because I don't care to watch a video like that. It's stupid. People thinking that being financially dependent on a man is anti-capitalistic makes me scream, one woman tweeted, as if traditional gender roles of housewife and working husband haven't gone hand in hand with capitalism for most of history. Yeah, but women were not liberated back then. They were dependent on a man for survival. Now women make their own money. They can leave anytime. They can cheat on you. No-fault divorce laws. Come on. Women have so many more options, right? And women are emotional beings that respond to everything emotionally first based on how they're feeling in the present moment, right? So if they're not feeling great about their marriage one morning, they can just get up and leave because their emotions are making them feel that way, right? That's why back in the days before women were liberated, it was easier to keep a woman around despite her emotions because if she left you, she wouldn't survive. She'd have to go and find someone else that would provide for her. And that was harder to do before women were liberated. So now we've given women a ton of options, which is fine, but it makes it easier for them to leave, cheat, etc. And it makes it more difficult for men to trust women because of this. Okay. Aliyah Hamed Rayo, an assistant professor at the London School of Economics whose research focuses on work, gender, and family, and author of the book Crunch Time, How Married Couples Confront Unemployment, agreed, but tried to offer a generous take on the video. The clip seems to recognize that women face enormous hurdles at work, lack of pay, lack of promotion, discrimination in getting hired, even when objectively better than men, she told HuffPost. This does happen in some cases. There is discrimination, and it's happened to my lady, but it doesn't happen all the time. It's not as bad as it used to be. Most of the time, when women do not get a job or a promotion, it is because the other person, whether they're a man or a woman, is more qualified. If the woman were to be if the woman was the most qualified, she would get the job and she would get paid exactly the same as the man would. But there are exceptions, and it does happen still sometimes to this day, where you get the wrong boss and they're very discriminatory. If that's the case, and you're going through that, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. Coach Eli at coacheli@eliasmelas.com is my email. And we can set up a time for a half an hour or 1 hour phone consultation. You can go to my website at coacheli@eliasmelas.com and find out what those rates are They're very reasonable, and I can help you work through this. But for all that, she said, Drummond's take is not anti-capitalistic. It simply shifts capitalist logic from paid work to unpaid work at home. Well, yeah, when you're married and you do things for free for your husband, you're doing free work, which you're getting paid for in other ways. He's making the money, he's taking you to dinner, he's paying for the food, and you're doing everything else. I can understand that, but it's a very traditional way of doing things, which in the modern world is not as common. I'm not saying it doesn't exist anymore, but it's not as common. Let me check out the chat here real quick. It is cringe, but it is not that far-fetched, honestly. Housewives have plenty to bring to the table, in my opinion, as do working wives. No, that's true. That makes sense, Zara. Furthermore, Zara says, my ex-sister-in-law married my brother for money that didn't work out so well. Well, hopefully he had a prenup or had a good attorney. And hopefully he was in a state where there aren't no-fault divorce laws. Because in California, you'd be screwed. No-fault divorce. I think to be anti-capitalist, one would have to think a lot deeper about dismantling the current systems of how we organize literally everything in the U.S. and consider how we can have societies where people's basic needs are met, where dignity is a starting point, not something earned by being deserving, whether that is through loving a husband or pleasing a boss, she said. Housework is work. Other viewers of the video argued hard work at that, but it is ultimately unpaid labor for which you relinquish your financial independence to stay at home. Well, it is work. And yes, women, when they were homemakers, or they used to be called housewives, now they call it homemakers because it's more respectful, right? More PC, politically correct, right? When women are homemakers, they are working very, very hard. And as long as they truly love their husband, they're faithful to their husband, and they take care of things at home, whether there are kids or not, no problem with that. But a lot of women nowadays, get very bored and lonely because of social media and the social stigma. And most of her friends are probably not housewives. And so, there are a lot of distractions that could easily get you to go astray if you're a homemaker or a housewife nowadays. And this woman is proving it here. She's going on to YouTube and YouTube and TikTok and blogging during her spare time, talking about her home life that shouldn't even matter to anyone besides her and her husband. But she wanted to make a public spectacle out of it, right? Okay. I think to be anti-capitalist, one would have to think a lot deeper about dismantling the current systems of I think I read this. I already read that, and I already read the next one. Sorry about that. Here's where we're at. Others on social media brought up an age-old question about marriages built around traditional gender roles. What happens if the husband in this scenario finds a new paralegal or dental assistant to date and marry? Well, hopefully he had a good prenup or a good attorney, and not living in a no-fault divorce state, and can get out of the current marriage very easily and cheaply. But that typically doesn't happen. The funniest part of the discourse around this is watching people ignore what happens to housewives once the kids are grown. Yeah. Mickey Kendall, the author, they end up in divorce. I see it happening all the time. On the dating apps, you have more divorced 30, 40, and 50-year-old women once the kids are out of the house. I've seen that time and time again, more than anything else. The author of Hood Feminism, Notes on White Feminism, wrote on Twitter, statistics say this movie ends in divorce with minimal alimony and nothing he owned prior to marriage being community property, so she has to start over. Yeah, so here's the thing. Anything that you've acquired or earned before the marriage is not community property. Right? So she can't, if it's a home, okay, she can't take that home. Okay? If it's, a car, if it's whatever he owns before that, whatever he earned before that is not hers. It's only what's accrued during the marriage. And if these marriages end in less than 10 years and there are kids involved, or even if there aren't kids involved, you will get spousal support. But here in California, I believe if it's less than 10 years, you get spousal support half the time of the marriage. So if you were married 9 years, you get 4.5 years of spousal support. If you're married more than 10 years, I believe you get spousal support for life. So a lot of guys know this, and they're getting out of these marriages very, very quickly, or at least less than 10 years. Because if you're more than 10 years, you're pretty screwed. You're going to have to pay her alimony, based on the lifestyle that you were providing for her, during the time you were married. And if you were providing a lavish lifestyle, it's going to cost you. So you got to be careful, okay? Final part here, and then we're going to... Oh, no, there's more. Choose whatever you want, but understand that these standards are from a time when lifelong alimony was the norm, and that's gone. Well, it's still there, but you have to be married longer. Kendall added, and I won't get into domestic violence stats in financially imbalanced relationships. Even without worst case scenarios, illness happens. And there's her, I guess, sharing a tweet. Somebody, I guess, is that her? They really mad at her in the comments. So she shared, I guess, someone's reaction to her video on her Twitter. But Drummond told Scuffs had critics who wonder what might happen if her husband leaves her. I'm also an educated and ambitious woman. If my husband left me tomorrow, I would figure it out, she said. I don't live in that fear. Other women are afraid enough for me. Yeah, women are liberated. If you wanted equality, which is what I'm trying to say, you got it. You got to learn to figure it out in the same way a man would figure it out if you divorced him, right? Other critics of the video took aim at the larger traditional wife movement, which is known as TradCon, which encourages women to embrace domesticity and submissiveness and a more retrograde, Betty Draper-esque idea of womanhood and femininity. The idea is to submit to, serve, and spoil your husband like it's 1959, as Alina Parrott, a well-known author and lifestyle blogger who's become the British face of the tradwife movement, told the BBC. Drummond distances herself from the movement. For starters, she said she's far too vocal to be a part of it. I am not a tradwife. In fact, most tradwives take issue with some of my political stances and personal behaviors. Well, I probably agree you're not a tradwife, but you're trying to come off like one, right? I think what you're doing is just amping it up for, views and likes on social media. And you're going to try to make a business out of it. You're bored while your husband's at work. But you're not going to say that because that'll ruin your traction on social media. And you're cute, so you're going to get attention from thirsty beta males even though you're married. That's what happens. In spite of coming across fairly hardline about her views on social media, Drummond told HuffPost she knows that her way of life isn't for everyone. It's not for most people. It wouldn't even work for me. Yeah, I want my woman to be a little more submissive than dominant, but I want her to be my equal and my other half, right? And I would want us to equally share in the responsibilities. And yes, I would want her to have her job, me have my job, or we work on a job together, like my lady and I are working my business together, right? If a woman is a better wife and mother when she works, I think she should work. She said, if a woman is a worse wife and mother when she works, I think she should consider giving up that job and seeing if homemaking will bring her more fulfillment. Well, sweetheart, I will tell you, you are saying this in an era where that hasn't been the norm for at least decades, okay? Decades. Women have been liberated now for about 55 years. And even when women first got liberated, they were still more into traditional gender roles and relationships. But I will tell you, once the 90s came around, and especially now in the 2000s and 2010s, right? Okay, and 2020s, oh boy, women have really advanced, and this is not the way women want to live their life. Most millennials and post-millennial women don't want to live their life this way. Anyway, that's where I'm gonna wrap this up here. There's nothing more that I need to read. There's some extra stuff down below, but I'm going to share the links to these blogs in the description section, all three of them, after I go off the air here in a second. All right, we are at 1 hour and 50 minutes. Nothing in the chat there. Yeah, perfect timing. It is 7:56 p.m. Eastern, 4:56 p.m. Pacific. I got to get going, folks. But make sure you keep it locked here because my lady and I may be going live at some point sooner than you think. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. But keep it locked here because another show is coming sooner than you think. With that being said, thank you to everyone for being here. Have yourselves a great one. Take care. Oh, go back to full screen. And as always, be good to each other.